Somebody said if you don't like playing with LeBron, you wouldn't like playing with Kobe. Bro, you guys got to stop these narratives, man. It's not that I didn't like playing with Bron, you guys. And, I don't want to go into detail about it. Some of y'all comments just be so asinine. Like when I was in Cleveland and I was a young player, I had no idea Bron was going to come.
Kyrie Irving just dropped a spark that could blow up one of the biggest legacies the game has ever seen. And the craziest part is that he did it with one simple sentence on a random live stream. No press tour, no dramatic sit-down, nothing polished, just raw truth spilling out while the camera was casually running. The internet went wild in seconds. LeBron's fans instantly jumped into full defense mode and turned every comment section into a battlefield. And suddenly the whole world remembered something important. Kyrie Irving isn't just the guy who used to play with LeBron. He's the guy who has real receipts, real memories, and a front row view of everything that went down behind closed doors in Cleveland. And now he's ready to start talking for real. Here's what makes this moment so dangerous. Kyrie wasn't heated, he wasn't rambling, he wasn't throwing a tantrum. He stared straight into the camera with this calm, ice-cold vibe and dropped a line that sent shockwaves through every basketball chat on the planet. He told everyone that when he's done hooping, the real story involving LeBron is coming out. And he said it with that trust me tone of someone who's been carrying heavy secrets for way too long.
When you guys make it about one player, it is kind of just weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just one player that you have to promote. Like, we had like solid players on our team. When you're playing with somebody like Bron or somebody that you guys like to compare him to, it's a different animal. It's a different journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're automatically expected to be at the top of the charts, the top of the league. Every time you play with Bron, it's going to be a lot of media attention. It's going to be a lot of back and forth of narratives. It's going to be about a lot of spun narratives. It's going to be a lot of politics. It's going to be a lot of shit that a lot of people don't see in front of the camera. And for me, I was just a young person trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's not that I disliked playing with Bron at any time. It was just literally, it was my time to move on. And that's what people got to accept. They want a deeper, detailed dive in terms of what happened. It's like, it was my time to move on.
That's not just talk. That's a warning. And judging by how fast the comments started flooding with panic, LeBron's fan base knows exactly how explosive that truth could be. So let's break down what Kyrie's really been holding inside, because the deeper you look into his Cleveland years, the messier everything becomes. And the wild part? It all starts long before LeBron even came back. A lot of people forget something major. Kyrie Irving never chose Cleveland in the first place. That's not disrespect. Those are straight facts. When he got drafted #1 in 2011, he didn't get a say. The league told him where he was going, and he ended up on a team still trying to recover after LeBron left for Miami. Kyrie had legendary handles and crazy talent, but he got stuck carrying a roster that didn't have any real direction. Night after night, he was out there trying to drag a struggling team to wins that barely mattered. And here's where it gets real. Kyrie admitted recently that those losing years forced him to pick up habits he never wanted. He started playing selfish because nobody else on that squad could score. He turned into a one-man show out of pure survival, not ego. But right when he was finally shaking those habits and stepping into real leadership, everything flipped upside down. LeBron James announced he was returning to Cleveland. And instantly, Kyrie's whole journey changed. Imagine this. You're a 22-year-old star heading into your 4th season. The exact moment when most young players take the leap and become the face of their franchise. You've battled through the ugly years. You've learned from the mistakes. And you're finally ready to run your own squad. Then out of nowhere, the biggest name in basketball walks in and takes over everything. Your spotlight? Gone. Your leadership role? Snatched. Your chance to become the guy? Put on pause indefinitely. That's exactly what hit Kyrie in 2014. And if you listen closely to how he talks about those years, something stands out every single time. He never says it was all terrible, and he doesn't attack LeBron directly. But he keeps repeating one phrase that should make everyone stop and pay attention. He keeps saying playing with LeBron is a different animal. And he doesn't mean it in a "this is amazing" kind of way. He means it in a "this changes your whole world and not how you expect" kind of way. Because once you're on LeBron's team, the expectations don't just rise, they get twisted into something else entirely. Suddenly you're not judged by your growth or your game. You're judged by how well you fit into LeBron's system, how much you help LeBron win, and whether you can handle being the sidekick while LeBron controls the entire story. And that's where things start turning dark. Because LeBron didn't just bring talent back to Cleveland, he brought something even stronger. Control. Let's bring up Pat Riley for a moment, because this detail flips the whole story on its head. Before LeBron went to Miami, he was gifted but raw, emotional on the bench, shaky when the heat turned up, and not fully steady as a leader. But 4 years under Pat Riley's system changed that completely. Riley drilled discipline into him, structure, sharp focus, and how to stay calm when the whole world was watching. That Miami version of LeBron was polished like never before. Professional, locked in, and calculated with every move. But here's the part people miss, the part Kyrie keeps hinting at. LeBron didn't just learn how to sharpen his game in Miami, he learned how to shape everything around him, the media, the public storylines, how to protect his image no matter what. Pat Riley's system wasn't just about hoops, it was about building a brand that never loses control. So when LeBron returned to Cleveland, he brought that whole machine with him, and Kyrie had to live inside that machine every single day.
The reason why I say I would have loved to play with Kobe, because I would have loved to have started my career with, I love Cleveland, don't get me wrong. I'm appreciative of all the things that they've done for me, but at the same time, I would have loved to choose the franchise I wanted to go to. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved to develop next to some of my favorite players and some of my favorite people. You know, because being a young player, when you're on a team that's not winning a lot of games, there's a lot of bad habits that form, and that's what ended up happening to me when I was very young. I had a lot of bad habits. I was not a winner. I was not a loser.
Kyrie has talked openly about how everything around LeBron is managed, filtered, and adjusted before it reaches the public. He's hinted at how stories get twisted off camera, how power moves happen behind closed doors, and how the narrative always bends to protect one person. That's heavy because it shows LeBron didn't just come back as a stronger player. He came back as someone who knew how to manage every angle of his legacy, including how his teammates fit into the script. And when you're Kyrie Irving watching that system move around you, it starts to feel less like a team and more like a machine that doesn't mind who gets left behind. Then came the moment that should have changed everything. Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals. Kyrie Irving, 24 years old, steps back over Steph Curry with 53 seconds left and knocks down one of the coldest shots in league history. That jumper sealed Cleveland's first title in over 50 years. The arena exploded. The city exploded. It was the kind of moment that usually defines a player's entire career forever. But somehow, that's not how it played out, and this is where Kyrie's frustration stops being subtle. He hits the championship-clinching shot, turns on the TV later, and all he hears is "blocked by James" on repeat. LeBron's block on Andre Iguodala ran non-stop, while Kyrie's game winner barely got airtime. His moment got wiped out in real time, and then it got even worse. LeBron went on TV and said that championship made him the greatest player of all time. Not us, not our team, just him. Kyrie averaged 27 points per game in that finals. He was the second best player on the floor the entire series. He hit the dagger that sealed the win. But somehow the whole story turned into LeBron's redemption arc. LeBron's journey. LeBron's legacy moment. Kyrie got pushed into the background of his own highlight. That's the kind of thing you don't forget. That's when you realize the machine around LeBron doesn't celebrate the team. It elevates and protects one person, no matter what the scoreboard says. And after that, things went downhill fast. Kyrie was out there in the finals, dropping 29 a night, going shot for shot with Kevin Durant, while the Warriors steamrolled everything in sight. KD was completely outplaying LeBron. It wasn't even close. But somehow, every time the Cavs lost, the blame went everywhere except toward LeBron. Kyrie took heat. The role players got dragged, and once again LeBron stayed fully protected like always. Then less than a month after the finals, the unthinkable starts happening. Trade rumors start swirling around Kyrie Irving. The same guy who delivered a championship, the same guy who carried a massive load in back-to-back finals runs, suddenly getting shopped like he was the issue. The disrespect was unreal. LeBron's circle started whispering about moving on from Kyrie like the 2016 title didn't even exist. Fans turned into pretend general managers cooking up wild fake trade packages. It was madness, and that's when Kyrie finally hit his breaking point. He demanded a trade. He wanted out. And he became the first superstar in LeBron's era to actually take control of his own path and walk away on his own terms. Every other big name around LeBron either joined him willingly or quietly got pushed out when their roles shrank. Dwayne Wade as he got older, Chris Bosh before his health issues, Kevin Love when his usage dropped. None of them walked out by choice. But Kyrie did. He looked at the whole setup, realized it wasn't built for him to grow, and said, "I'm done." And LeBron's fan base has never forgiven him because Kyrie's exit exposed something real. The LeBron ecosystem only works when everyone else accepts being replaceable. Kyrie refused to play that role, and it shattered the entire illusion. That's when the character attacks really fired up. And these weren't normal basketball takes. This stuff felt personal, coordinated, and non-stop. People went after everything. His time in Boston, claiming younger players couldn't mesh with his leadership. His injuries, acting like he sat out on purpose just to be difficult. Even his personality, calling him weird, moody, hard to play with. Every struggle got twisted into proof that Kyrie couldn't succeed without LeBron holding him up. None of it mattered that he was still elite. The narrative was already written and nothing on the court could change it. Then the pandemic hit, and everything spun out of control. Kyrie made a personal choice not to take the COVID vaccine, and the backlash was extreme. People weren't just criticizing. They were calling for him to be barred from the league, calling him selfish, reckless, dangerous. The outrage didn't even feel like it was about safety anymore. It felt like people were punishing him for using his own voice and refusing to fall in line. And the wildest part? A huge amount of that anger came from LeBron supporters acting like Kyrie's personal decision was somehow an attack on their favorite player's legacy. That level of obsession was unbelievable. And through all of that, where was LeBron? Silent. Completely silent. No public support, no defense of his former teammate, nothing at all. Just total quiet while his fan base did all the attacking for him. That's exactly the kind of behind-the-scenes politics Kyrie was referring to. LeBron doesn't need to say anything. The system runs itself. His fans do the dirty work, the narrative stays protected, and his image stays spotless, while everyone else deals with the fallout. It's efficient, it's calculated, and it's honestly pretty ruthless. But here's where the story flips. Kyrie didn't break. He didn't fall off. He didn't give anyone the satisfaction of seeing him fade. Instead, he went to Dallas and became a champion again. He's playing the most focused, efficient basketball of his career. He's a respected veteran in the locker room, a trusted voice for younger players, and a guy who finally found real peace. Not the media-friendly fake kind, but the kind where you know exactly who you are and don't need approval from anyone. And here's the wildest proof of how much he's grown. Even when Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers, Kyrie didn't lose confidence for a second. He stayed solid, kept producing, and showed everyone that all those old claims about him being impossible to build around were flat out wrong. He's turned himself into one of the most reliable players on the roster. He showed the world that the issue was never his talent or his leadership. It was people needing him to fail so they could protect someone else's story. And that brings everything back to that live stream moment. Because Kyrie wasn't just chatting. He was done holding things in. After everything he survived, the hate, the twisting of his story, the narrative machine running nonstop, he looked straight into that camera and made a promise. When I'm done playing, you guys will hear the real story. Trust me. And the way he said it wasn't casual. It wasn't some throwaway line. It was the voice of someone who carried this weight for years and is finally ready to lay everything out. Where he avoids the tough questions? Not this time. This is about Kyrie laying out everything that really went down behind closed doors. Everything the narrative machine buried. Everything the public never saw, but always felt. And then he dropped a line that hit even deeper. No one could ever live in the shoes. No one could ever have anything legitimate to say about what they would have done in my position. That wasn't frustration. That was someone who knows things the rest of us don't. Someone who lived through moments that would flip the entire Cleveland story upside down if they ever came out. And the way he said it, with that sharp edge in his voice, that "I'm not scared anymore" energy, you could tell he's done protecting anyone else's legacy at the cost of his own truth. So now the real question isn't if Kyrie will talk, it's what happens to LeBron's legacy once he does. Because for years, the system around LeBron has been airtight. Every storyline carefully shaped, every narrative controlled, every bit of blame redirected away from him and onto someone else. Clean, polished, efficient. Almost too perfect. But Kyrie's promise? That cracks the armor. And once he starts talking, once he lays out the politics, the tension, the real conversations that happened when the cameras were off, LeBron's carefully crafted image might not make it out untouched. One honest interview could rewrite a decade of basketball history. And the wildest part is Kyrie didn't need a documentary or a scripted special to shake the room. He did it with a single sentence on a live stream. And the reaction said everything. People panicked fast. Defense squads assembled instantly. Fans rushed to discredit him before he even revealed a single detail. That tells you all you need to know. Everybody understands exactly how dangerous his truth could be. The clock is ticking now. Kyrie's retirement is only a few years away, and when that day comes, when he finally sits down and tells the full story with no contracts, no locker room politics, no league pressure holding him back, the entire basketball world is going to be locked in. Because the truth hits different when it comes from the person who actually lived it. And Kyrie Irving lived through all of it. Every moment, every decision, every piece of his story that got twisted into something else. He saw it firsthand. And soon, he's going to make sure everyone else finally hears what really went down. If this story opened your eyes to what's been building between two of the biggest names in the game, hit that subscribe button. Because when Kyrie finally talks, you're going to want to be ready. And trust me, it's going to be way bigger than anybody expects.